Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Our Simple Abundance year, following along through Sarah Breathnach's book, Simple Abundance, and discussing her principles: joy, harmony, beauty, order, simplicity, and gratitude. Today's video encompasses a couple of those because we're going to be talking about meal prep, not only just the organizational process of meal prep, which would be the order principle, right? But also the presentation of preparing the table and looking at it in a couple of different ways. So I'm going to be combining a couple entries today. Today's July 13th, 2020, and in this first entry, she is talking to us about the art of, if you want to call it that, of really organizing your meal preparation. So you can look on YouTube, you will find tons of videos and people that are doing meal prep in, amazing ways. What you're doing, in a sense, is you're preparing out a schedule of the meals that you're going to make, and then making your grocery shopping trip around those. And also, it's usually maximizing the ingredients. So say you're supposed to pick up tomatoes or something like that, then maybe you have 2 different meals that week that use the tomatoes. So it's a lot of times on the videos that you'll see on YouTube, it's people that are usually, they have a budgeting channel or some sort of financial channel, and then they do the meal prep because they're saving so much money by doing that. And not only do they cook stuff, but then they freeze things, and sometimes they may incorporate things like coupons in their videos. Sarah doesn't get into that, but she is encouraging us to think about this, because at the end of the entry she talks about how summer should really be the time when you have some time to just go out and sit in the hammock and sip some lemonade and not feel like you're so frazzled. So getting some of these things organized ahead of time and preparing, and even maybe having some of them in the freezer and all you have to do is thaw them out, that's going to translate into more time for you to do leisure activities and then less stress in the kitchen, right? So what do you guys think about meal prep? Does anybody out there do any of this already? I know for me, where I'm just cooking for one person, it's definitely different than if I had a family. I think when you have a family, it's so important to be really, really organized. So Sarah is talking about it in that perspective, from having a lot of hungry bellies to cook for. So I'll read a few of the things that she says. 2 home caring tasks that consume a great deal of creative energy each week are grocery shopping and meal preparation. She tells us, I've created simple abundance strategies for stocking the larder, as she calls it, that can help you reclaim a sense of control when cooking. The first is to create a master grocery list. This task will take you only about an hour and will return an abundance of time in the future. So she goes on to say that she does this on her computer, she prints it out. Nowadays you could do it on your phone. There's even apps that help you, that you're putting down the main staples of what you normally need, say like milk, eggs, cheese, whatever it is. And so that does cut down a bit on the preparation for the grocery shopping. And then she goes so far as to say to divide the grocery list into categories, and even some of the apps that she mentions, if you put in your zip code and it knows what grocery store you go to, apparently it will map out where the things are in the store. Isn't that nuts? I didn't know that. So, and then she goes on to say, before I can make an efficient grocery list, I need to devise menus so I know what I'll be cooking and what I need to shop for. And then this is on page 301 and 302. She does list out a couple of meal prep and shopping list apps, if you want to check those out. So she goes on to say, by planning your meals in advance, you'll avoid forgetting any necessary ingredient at the market, which we've all done countless times over the years. Plus, you'll reduce waste and care for Mother Earth. And then she goes on to say, a simple abundance strategy is to sit down and write out your family's favorite meals. You might even ask for suggestions. Be sure to include side dishes, vegetables, and desserts. Then create a master menu file. Again, you can do this in an app or use recipes stored on your computer or even write out your repertoire of menus on index cards. A core of at least a dozen meals enables you to create a sense of variety at dinner time. Eating the same thing repeatedly can get awfully dreary, but it's so easy to get into a rut. And she just goes on to relate that, we don't always have time to really revel in the kitchen, like she talked about last time with the kitchen mysticism, where you're making works of art. So her advice is to do that on the weekends. Maybe choose one of the weekend days and make it, obviously she likes to cook. So if you don't like to cook, then maybe you don't want to spend that whole afternoon doing it. But I can tell from the way she writes about it that she really enjoys this. So it's one of her home caring and joyful simplicities, if you will. So she does it on the weekends. But maybe if you're working all day and then you come home, you don't want to be creating a work of art unless you're a super amazing cook and you just love it, then maybe you do. But I think the average person is, somebody said in the comments, like, I just want the food to be made for me, right? Wouldn't that be nice? Maybe with the development of artificial intelligence coming along, we'll be able to have robots cooking for us or something. And then she closes by those words about saying that the best thing about summer is to just revel in the nice weather and maybe a different pace of life for your family if your kids are home. And she says, won't you agree with me as you lie looking up at the leafy canopy above you that a home now and in every other month must be a haven in the spirit as well as a place in which the physical needs are supplied? So, and she had also said, I skipped it, the greater need today is for calmer homes. So again, just like when we talked about the morning and evening routines and maybe setting your clothes out or having things in your car that you needed, this is another way of not only bringing more order to your life, and simplicity too, hopefully, if you can have like a meal set up with a grid or whatever and you know what you're gonna have. But it's also like a load off your mind. Like, you're not trying to remember all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock, oh, what do I have in the pantry to make? And so it's taking care of this ahead of time so that you can just know that it's already done, you know what you're doing. You have to just thaw it out or throw some things in a pot. The crock pot's great, like I mentioned before. So you can see why she finds this of importance, and I can see the value in it too. And some people even have those new meal services now where you get all the ingredients and then you make the food, or some of it comes ready to just be heated up. So whatever is going to bring more order and simplicity into your life, as long as you can afford some of those things. Some of those things can get expensive, I bet. But you can probably save a lot. And go ahead and look on YouTube, just put in meal preparation or something like that. You'll get tons of videos though. And some people that shop all the deals, and they have just countless amounts of meals that they could make in a week. I know I could do with some more variety. I do a lot of times, I get sort of set on certain things that I'm gonna have for lunch and a couple of different dinners, and I might grab something out maybe once a week. I'm not a big takeout person, but I could do with some more variety. What about you? Okay, and then the next entry is called the celebrating table. And I'll just read a little bit of what she says. Whether we're single, in a relationship, with or without children, we all must eat dinner. The evening meal should be the highlight of the day. If the day has been peaceful, pleasurable, and profitable, it's time to celebrate. If the day has been difficult and discouraging, it's time for comfort and consolation, blessings by themselves, and reason to celebrate. Either way, the celebration table beckons. Just as there are different food categories, there are different types of dining in. Takeout, home cooked, and full-on feasts. All of us make do sometimes, but as a lifestyle choice, rotating frozen meals can quickly lead to psychic starvation and dietary deprivation. Yeah. So again, you do want to be looking forward to dinner. And I think if you can get excited about the meal prep as far as tying in with this celebrating table entry, it would make it more ceremonious, right? We need time to diffuse, to contemplate. Just as in sleep, our brains relax and give in to dreams, so at some time of the day, we need to disconnect, reconnect, and look around us. We must turn off the television and the telephone, hunker down in front of our hearths, and leave our briefcases in the office, if for only one night. We must march into the kitchen, alone or with a friend, and find some easy, heartwarming things to make from scratch. And even if it's but once a week, we must gather at the table alone or with friends, or with lots of friends, or with one friend, and eat a meal together. We know that without food we would die. Without fellowship, life is not worth living. Come, the celebration table beckons. So that would be another thing to encourage you to make your dining area a little more inviting and more special. And I've talked about this before as far as like, don't just sit on the couch and eat out of a cereal box, you know? Actually make an event of it. Your food doesn't have to be a work of art. Like sometimes you go out to a restaurant and you get the whole presentation is so beautiful. It doesn't have to look like that unless you really want it to. But I like how she says that when you're eating dinner, it is good. I do have the television on in the background. Sometimes I'm listening to things on YouTube or sometimes the news. I shouldn't do that when I'm eating, I know. But I like how she says it's kind of like the time to unplug. And if you have somebody to talk to during it, then you're reconnecting and sort of sharing the day. You could do that virtually now too. I've done that a couple times with friends where we've set up a time to FaceTime and then we're eating in the background. So if you're feeling a little bit alone, you could do something like that. And the last one I want to talk about today is called Are We Having Company Tonight? And this is again similar to the one where I said that I like to keep my table ready for company. But she does make a good point. And just like when we talked about the home and coming home to yourself, and how you absolutely take much more care in your home when you know you're going to have a guest than you do when it's just you coming home. Same thing with making dinner and getting the table ready. Of course you're like, are we having company tonight? Oh, okay, I'll just sit in my sweats and eat off paper plates or not even use utensils or something like that. You would definitely not do that if company is there. So again, treating yourself just as you would the higher level of everything for company, right? And she goes into some things that I already shared a little bit about when it was such a big deal when my mom would get the dining room set up. This was from the dining room entry. And we'd get the special silver out and everything. She talks about that too, as far as there's nothing wrong with using those things for yourself, even if it's not a special occasion, and even if you don't have anybody coming over. She says, today our style of entertaining has become more casual than starched linen and polished silver of past generations. Yet the sense of harmony that can be conjured up with an inviting table setting has not changed, nor has the need. If anything, we hunger for harmony more than we do for sustenance. But we don't need to feast from fine Italian linen every day. A beautiful wood table set with simple white napkins, pottery plates, oversized water goblets, votive candles, and a small bouquet of flowers or centerpiece bowl of fresh fruit is a simply abundant setting that elevates eating into an exquisite pleasure of dining. Isn't that nice? I like that. When you take extra moments to prepare an attractive table, you're really performing an invocation, welcoming spirit to be present in recreation and remembrance. Choosing to dine rather than just eat is small, but is a small but sufficient step towards self-nurturance, and one to savor if we live. Creating an inviting table is possible more nights than you think, especially if you approach it as another venue of artistic expression in your daily round and confine your efforts to the simple, the doable, and the affordable. What do you think about that? Do you want to do that, or do you feel like it's like, oh, I don't care, I just like to grab my food and go eat it in front of the TV? Think about what you think of when you think of simple abundance and eating, because I can see what she's saying about, I always have the fresh flowers. I have some candles on the counter right now too. There is something that makes it an exquisite experience when you can give yourself that time. I just had a moment of thinking it can be kind of lonely too, but like I said, you can always FaceTime in with somebody, but you are doing that self-nurturance, so hopefully there's a fulfilling aspect to it. And if there is a little bit of loneliness, hopefully it's still enough of a boost so that you feel special, that you did that for yourself. Today, start using the enjoyable and beautiful things that already surround you in your home. Don't save their loveliness only for other people to recognize and appreciate. Using them, you will become aware that authentic aspirations, from setting a pretty table to finding your life's calling, are legitimate longings. Company is coming for dinner, she says tonight. Guess who? It would be a quantum leap in abundance consciousness if, when your authentic self graces your table, she finds generous portions of love, respect, and welcome she so richly deserves, served up on the most beautiful plate you own. Yes, that's what this is all about. These small little things. She's not talking about going out and buying all new stuff. She's saying use the things that you have now and that you're worth it. We've heard that a lot this year. Is it starting to sink in a little bit? Hope you can do something for yourself like this. I think I agree with her that it's not unlike when we talked about if you're feeling like your life is falling apart and you just feel down in the dumps, and then you look around and there's all kinds of chaos around you and your house is just a mess and piles of stuff. Like, it's not unlike that to think about if you get your table all set up nicely and it's waiting there for you and you have a nice meal and maybe a glass of wine. She mentions that in other entries, that's like a nice little moment and something that you prepared for yourself. Company is coming. It's you. It's your authentic self, actually. So have dinner with your authentic self. How about that? Let me know what you think about this. And thanks for watching, as always. I appreciate all your likes and subscribes, and I love all your comments. So please leave me a comment. And I will see you next time as we continue our simple abundance journey here on the channel. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.